Imagine living in a world where you knew exactly what tomorrow held. Some historical figures didn't just imagine it, they lived it, predicting everything from technological breakthroughs to global conflicts. Join us on a mind-bending journey to uncover the shocking accuracy of their prophecies and understand their profound impact. Today, we'll journey through the lives of prophets, visionaries, and thinkers who, whether by brilliance, intuition, or sheer accident, predicted the future with stunning accuracy. Stay with me, because by the end, you may begin to wonder, are predictions of tomorrow hiding in plain sight today? Our story begins in the ancient world. Before science and satellites, before the internet tracked our every move, people turned to oracles and seers. And at the heart of ancient Greece stood one of the most mysterious voices of prophecy, the Oracle of Delphi. Imagine climbing the rocky slopes of Mount Parnassus. Smoke drifts from a temple. Inside, a priestess, known as the Pythia, inhales fumes rising from cracks in the earth. In a trance, she speaks. Her words are cryptic, poetic, and often frighteningly accurate. Take King Croesus of Lydia. He asked the oracle if he should wage war against Persia. The response? If you cross the river, a great empire will fall. Encouraged, Croesus attacked. And yes, a great empire fell. But it wasn't Persia, it was his own. A single prophecy reshaped history. Fast forward to the 16th century. A man named Michel de Nostradamus, better known as Nostradamus, filled pages with strange rhyming quatrains. To many, they were gibberish, but generations later, readers found terrifying parallels. One verse speaks of a leader rising in Western Europe, one who would unleash fire and death. Many believe this refers to Adolf Hitler. Another quatrain eerily describes metal birds bringing destruction to cities, linked to World War II bombings. Skeptics say his predictions are so vague they can be twisted to fit anything. Believers argue they're too precise to dismiss. What do you think? Coincidence or foresight? And then there's the Bible's prophetic books, from Daniel to Revelation. Interpreters have connected their visions to the fall of empires, the rise of tyrants, and catastrophic wars. The image of beasts, fire, and kingdoms collapsing has been tied to everything from the fall of Rome to nuclear Armageddon. But here's the real question. Were these prophets seeing the future, or simply warning us of human patterns that repeat again and again? Because the next figures didn't just imagine symbolic visions. They predicted real technology that hadn't even been dreamed of yet. Picture Florence, late 1400s. A man sits hunched over parchment. His hands are smudged with ink. His eyes, alive with curiosity, dart between sketches of muscles, birds, and machines. This man is Leonardo da Vinci. He wasn't just painting the Mona Lisa. He was sketching ideas centuries ahead of his time. Designs for a flying machine with wings like a bat, a submersible vessel that hinted at submarines, even blueprints resembling the modern tank. None of these inventions came to life in his lifetime, but today they exist, and they look hauntingly like his sketches. Centuries later, French novelist Jules Verne took readers on impossible journeys. In 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, he imagined a massive submarine called the Nautilus. At the time, such vessels were only primitive concepts. Yet today, nuclear submarines roam the oceans, eerily similar to Verne's vision. In From the Earth to the Moon, he described astronauts launched in a capsule from Florida, splashing down in the ocean upon return, eerily close to NASA's Apollo missions. He even hinted at something like video conferencing, a technology that didn't appear until more than a century later. And then comes H.G. Wells. Known as the father of science fiction, Wells wrote about time travel and alien invasions, but in 1914, he published The World Set Free. In it, he described bombs powered by the splitting of atoms, decades before nuclear fission was discovered. When the first atomic bomb fell in 1945, Wells's fiction had become humanity's terrifying reality. It makes you wonder, were these writers merely imaginative geniuses? Or were they visionaries peering through a window into the future? Because next, we'll explore minds who didn't just imagine machines, but societies. And their predictions, they sound uncomfortably familiar today. In the 1830s, a young Frenchman named Alexis de Tocqueville traveled across the United States. He was only supposed to study prisons. Instead, he studied the entire culture. In his book, Democracy in America, he warned of two things: that the issue of race and slavery would erupt into a national crisis, that democracy might one day be weakened, not by kings, but by mass opinion, shaped by media. Fast forward, the Civil War erupted, and today, in 2025, debates about race, justice, and the power of media echo exactly what Tocqueville foresaw nearly 200 years ago. Then there's George Orwell. In 1949, he published 1984, a world where Big Brother watches every move, where language is twisted to control thought, where misinformation isn't an accident, it's a weapon. For decades, it was fiction. But look around today. Surveillance cameras, data tracking, manipulated news, deepfakes. Orwell's nightmare feels less like a story and more like a warning label on our present. And then there's Margaret Atwood. In 1985, she gave us The Handmaid's Tale, a story of women stripped of rights, reduced to tools of reproduction. At the time, it felt like pure dystopia. But in recent years, as debates over reproductive rights dominate headlines, Atwood's tale feels chillingly close to reality. Her own words? She once said she didn't invent anything in that book. She simply looked at history and asked, what if it happens again? These writers weren't witches or prophets. They simply watched society, understood its flaws, and followed those cracks into the future. So maybe foresight isn't about predicting tomorrow. Maybe it's about seeing today more clearly than anyone else. From the smoky halls of Delphi to the pages of Orwell's 1984, history is filled with people who saw beyond their own time. Some used mysticism, others used logic, art, or imagination, but all of them left behind echoes that continue to shape our choices today. The line between prophecy and observation is thin, maybe too thin. After all, history repeats, technology evolves, and human nature rarely changes. So the question is, who are today's prophets? Which thinkers, scientists, or writers might be whispering truths about our future? Truths we may only recognize decades from now? Tell me in the comments. Which historical figure do you think had the most jaw-dropping vision of the future? Or maybe you've read a book that felt less like fiction and more like a warning. I'd love to know. And if you enjoyed this journey through time and foresight, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you won't miss our next deep dive. Because next time, we'll explore predictions that never came true and uncover what those failures tell us about the nature of foresight itself. Until then, remember, the future is always closer than it seems.